Please welcome Catherine Morgan.
We all have pulls on our time, right? We have our careers, our speaking business, we have our family, we have hobbies perhaps, we might even want to exercise and sleep occasionally. There are a lot of things that we need to do and a lot of pulls on our time, right? Yeah. So speakers have even more pulls on their time than the average person. You're here today at Engaging Speakers Bootcamp 3, woohoo, to build your speaking business. But I'm pretty sure that most of you don't speak exclusively. I'm pretty sure that most of you do other things to make money, correct? Right. So my friend Victoria Cook over there, I'm just going to call her out because I know her well. She has the Center for Guilt-Free Success, and I get her emails every week, and she's doing trainings and webinars and networking events and her one-on-one coaching and probably some group coaching. She's doing a lot of stuff. It's like multiple businesses. And so as speakers and people who are here to make more money speaking your way to more business, right? We need to manage our time. Productivity and prioritization become key. Does that make sense? We all have the same 24 hours in the day. You're like, right, Catherine, of course, we all have the same 24 hours. But if you look at me and you say, you know, I'm actually a pretty good project manager, and I'm a pretty good time manager too. Honestly, I need a few more hours in my day. Okay. I have some tips for how you might be able to get a few more hours in your day. Want to hear them? My first suggestion is wildly unpopular. I spend a lot of time in LA and it absolutely bombs in the room. Stop watching television. Yeah, it gets a laugh. Some people twitch in their chair a little nervously. They're thinking about their TiVo. They're thinking about the binge watching of Netflix. I'm guilty, I do it too, but I factor it into my schedule. I have read that the average person spends 3 to 4 hours a day watching television. I just found you 3 to 4 hours. You're welcome. Okay, you're like, yeah, Catherine, next tip. There are actually other things that I have to recommend. If you find that somehow your days are just getting away from you. You start the day, and as Matthew said, you end the day with more things to do. You can do what I call a time leaks inventory. So what you would do is be very, very hands-on, and you would carry around a notebook or your phone or whatever you always have with you, and you would keep track of how you spend your time. So you'd spend 30 minutes on a conference call, or you spent an hour on a client meeting, or you spent 2 hours on a webinar, you spent an hour at the gym. Whatever you ended up doing, you would then have in your book. And I promise you that after a week or 2 weeks, you will find patterns of where you are I like the visual of the leaking time. And so if you fill in the holes, you have a little bit of more time to work with. Another thing that I'm going to warn you is to look for usual time sucks. Most of the people in this room are entrepreneurs, small business owners. A lot of us are solo business owners, and we are especially prone to shiny object syndrome. Not just me, all of us. I know the ladies in the room will nod when Pinterest came out, and we were hoping like crazy that Pinterest would work for our business because it was really fun. And we would spend an hour or two mocking up our dream house, our dream kitchen, right? I'm going to actually come clean here. I know what my time suck is. I know for a fact that if I type in YOUTUBE, enter into my browser, I just lost 30 minutes, guaranteed. So I have to tell myself those Glee videos will be there when you come back. It's a confession. I know it's on video. Now everybody knows. Oh, well. Come on. Okay, let's talk about overwhelm. We all experience overwhelm periodically. We've got a ton to do. We just talked about it. We're trying to build our speaking business, manage our regular business, have friends, have family, get some sleep. I was on a call with my mentor, Michael Port. Michael Port is an outstanding speaker. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's wrote the book, Book Yourself Solid. And I'm on this call, and he says, overwhelm is caused by not knowing what to do, not by having too much to do. I'll repeat that for those in the back. Overwhelm is caused by not knowing what to do, not by having too much to do. So let's think about that for a second. Doesn't necessarily make sense when you first hear it. You're like, but there have been times when you've had a ton to do, but you were in motion. You were going through your to-do list. It was like magic. It was like choreography, and everything just fell into place, right? A lot of the speaking that I do is in front of job search networking groups, and these people are in career transition, and I say, so how many of you, when you had a full-time job, used to get everything done? The laundry got done, the dishes got done, lunch got made, I got to the gym, and now that you're in career transition, and you hypothetically have all this time, nothing's getting done. And it always gets a laugh in the room, and there's like, yeah, that's happened to me. So that's the thing, overwhelm. Let's talk about how to stay out of overwhelm now that we've defined what it is. Overwhelm is caused, for me, you can send yourself almost into immediate overwhelm because you're spinning. You've got all these things in your head, and then you're trying to focus on this task at hand, and then all of a sudden is, I gotta pick up the cake. And I gotta pick up the cake, comes here in the back, right? And then you're trying to get back focused, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta go drop off this. So the trick is to get everything out of your head, because once the brain space is freed, you're gonna feel better almost immediately. But I have some techniques to use to get things out of your head that I think you'll find helpful. You wanna capture all the tasks you have, and I urge you to just do, those of you in IT, a core dump. All just out. Don't judge it. Don't try and prioritize it. Don't try and put it into groups. Just get it all out somewhere. And I don't think there's one best way to capture it. I think people are going to switch up different ways to do things. One day it might be legal pad, one day it might be your treasured moleskin, one day it might be Post-it notes, one day it might be your phone, laptop. I don't care, it doesn't matter. It's just all got to get out of your head. So here it is, and you can see it some way. And then these tasks will somehow start forming themselves into logical groups. Here's the tasks around that info product you're launching. Here's the tasks around booking your spring schedule of speaking gigs. Here's the tasks around, administrative stuff for your business. Does that make sense? And then once again, don't be trying to put them in any particular order, except that some of them are going to naturally fall into order. They're going to fall into order, why? Because one is contingent upon the other. So this one needs to be done because you need the results of that to go. So those will go. And then there's this other stuff, okay? Then you have these lists. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to attack this grouping of stuff first, but how do you do that? I have 4 ways for you to attack your to-do list. 4, okay? First one, cha-ching. I was on Barry Moltz's radio show. Barry Moltz is the small business get unstuck guy, and I was on Business Insanity Radio. And Barry and I are friends. I said, hey, Barry, you're the unstuck guy. I bet you tell people to do the most important thing first, the fast path to the cash. Barry goes, absolutely. I'm like, well, that's great if you can do it. But the human mind is a little strange. And we have to play tricks with it. We have to play games with it. We have to coax it. Is it just me? No. Gamification works, right? They're throwing gamification into everything. It's because the human brain works. So if you can do the fast path to the cash, great. That's a great way to start. But I have 3 other ways in case that's not working for you. 2, gulp. It's a great visual, the Mark Twain quote for those of you in the back. Eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Right? It's kind of a gross image, but it sticks with you. And we've all had those frog tasks. My favorite example is as we're getting close to tax time, we need to reach out to our accountant, we need to make an appointment. And when we make that appointment, we know a bunch of other things are going to happen. We're going to have to get our receipts in order. We're going to have to bring our books up to date. That might include updating 1 month, 2 months, 6 months of data. Some of you enjoy those sorts of administrative tasks. Good for you. A lot of us really dread it. So that's a big, bad frog that all of us can kind of relate to. But let's talk this through for a second. So our to-do list is such that there's this frog and it's staring at us, ribbit, ribbit. And if you said, you're kind of feeling icky in the morning, you're like, oh, I've got a little bit of a headache, I'm not really in the mood, I'll do it after lunch. Day goes by, you're after lunch. How much did you get done in the morning? Were you really productive? Were you focused? Were you on track? Probably not, right? Because you were thinking about the frog. It's taking all this energy. If you had just done whatever the big, bad, ugly thing was first, you would have gone, oh, I'm so relieved, and then been able to do the rest of your work. So let's go over again. 1, cha-ching. 2, gulp. All right. 3. Third way is check. And this is going to appeal to the people who like control, the people who I like to refer to as type AA chronic overachievers. And I know some of you in the room are giggling at this. It is great to, this is a great technique if you have a bunch of little things on your to-do list and you're thinking to yourself, why didn't I just do that? That's not going to take a lot of time. I don't even know how that ended up on the list. And then there's 2, 3, 5, 10 little things that you could really just whip through. Check, 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 check. Well, I would say if you have a to-do list that has a bunch of little things, just go through and do the checks. Why? Because you're going to build enthusiasm. You're going to build momentum. And that carries over into the tasks that you're maybe not quite as excited about. Sound like it would work? Okay, so we've got cha-ching, we've got gulp, we've got check, and here's the last one. And I have to tell you that this is the one that I use the most, works the best for creatives. It's woohoo! So you look at your to-do list, and what's going to get you excited? What's the thing that's sort of going to make you feel good? A lot of times it's something that you'll learn, something that you think you might get some good feedback on. Let's take an example of you have some blog post you've been meaning to write. You think it's going to resonate with your community and somebody might comment, say something nice, likes on Facebook. You know, we all need our ego stroked a little bit. So that can be something that's easy to do. You do it quickly, you get some feedback, and you're like, oh, I feel pretty good. And then you tackle the rest of your to-do list. If you're noticing a trend, folks, the trend is to build enthusiasm, is to build momentum, so that this carries over into the rest of what you have to do that's maybe less interesting, less savory, or will take more time. So who's willing to try those 4 techniques? Is that helpful? Great. So here's some extra stuff. Add in constraints to boost your productivity. And 1 or 2, maybe a bunch of you are going to say, really, Catherine, I have so much to do, and you're telling me to add something else in? And I say yes, because adding constraints will actually make you more productive. Let's take the job search, folks, again for a second, just because it's fun. and hopefully none of you are in job search right now. If they have 3 letters to send out and 6 hours to do it, what do you think the odds are that at 4:45 they actually sent those letters out? So if you know that something takes 90 minutes, put a 90-minute block. And even if you have to fake yourself out with, I could cancel this meeting, this is kind of a fake thing, pretend it's real. Once again, playing with your head to make you more productive is okay. That's a nice kind of playing with your head. So you get these things done and you get to have some fun. Constraints really do make you more productive. There's that quote, Chinese proverb, which I'm 100% sure isn't Chinese. If you need something done, give it to a busy person. But that's not untrue, because when you're busy, when you're in motion, when you're in action, you're actually getting more done. And when you're sort of, and nothing's really happening, that's when you can't seem to add anything else into your plate. There's a nice tie-in between these constraints and avoidance techniques. One of our own engaging speakers, Pat E. Perkins, and I were at the downtown Chicago meeting, and she's a lovely lady, and she walked up to me and she's like, "Catherine, how was your day today?" Normal question you would ask at a networking meeting. And I'm like, "My day was great." And she was a little bit surprised by my enthusiasm for how great my day was. She steps back a minute and she's like, "Why was your day great, Catherine?" And I said, "Because I blocked out 5 hours in my calendar to work on my ebook, and I actually worked on my ebook." She's like, "Wow, that is a good day. I would have organized my closets or been doing laundry." So avoidance behaviors are different for everybody, but we all have them. And it's insipid when they insert themselves and they're things that really needed to be done. So that car probably did need an oil change. Did it need an oil change when you should have been following up with a meeting planner who was so excited about booking you and then went dark for 6 weeks? No, you probably should be home making those follow-up calls. So I'll just throw that out there for your consideration. But we all have different things. Could be cleaning, could be excessive email, checking, could be social media. People who see how often I'm on Facebook would immediately say, "It's Facebook for you, Catherine." Yeah, okay, I'll cop to it. That and YOU to UBE. Productivity 101. I am actually going to look at you and say, be hands-on with your calendar. You're like, "Seriously, Catherine, you're rolling your eyes," right? When you have too much to do, I do actually urge you to get very granular with your calendar. I will do this at this time. I will do this at this time. It should take this much. And then add fun things into your calendar so your calendar doesn't just give you mean things, because you will end up hating it. I have a story about how well a calendar can work for you in just a short time. I was doing a teleclass. It was a goal-setting productivity teleclass in January. It's a good time for it. And I had a gentleman on the phone, and I was talking about using your calendar, and he just blurts out, "I hate my calendar." Really loudly, with a lot of energy. We're on the phone. I'm like, "Okay." Care to share why you hate your calendar? "Well, feels like it's bossing me around, takes time to enter things, and I don't get a lot of results from it." Okay. And then I said, "Well, earlier in the call, sir, you mentioned that if you could just carve out an hour's worth of time, 4 days a week, to do some cold outreach, you think that you could absolutely achieve your very aggressive business goals for this year." It's like, "Yeah, I said that." I'm like, "Okay, you also said that your Fridays were really busy. You have a lot of meetings and a lot of administrative stuff. So let's take Friday out. Monday through Thursday, let's put an hour in your calendar." Dale Carnegie always says the best time to reach people is 10, 2, or 4. Given how your day normally goes, what of those time slots do you think would work for you? He's like, 10. 10 would be a good time. Okay. So if I get you to put 10 to 11, Monday through Thursday, you are going to do some cold outreach. Okay, I can do that. And then he got a little excited. He's like, and I'm going to put 3 to 4. I'm like, whoa, 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 dude. Let's get you in the habit of doing it 1 hour. And if you get to do the 2 hours, that's a bonus. That's not the goal. Good. A week later, we meet because everybody knows accountability. You commit to something, you fulfill, and you report on it. Right? A lot of coaches in the room. So we have our accountability call a week later, and he's giddy. Giddy. He's like, Catherine, it's now my friend, the calendar. All right, your friend, the calendar. Why is it your friend, the calendar? And he's like, well, you know, I did what you said. I put it in, and I didn't hit every day, but I did 3 days, and I got people at their desks, and they were interested, and I think I have a couple things that are going to convert, and this is really going to work for me. So I am going to say, usually, if you have a lot to do, or if something is just not getting done, be very hands-on with your calendar. Another thing that I'll tell you is, as solo business owners, this can help you stay away from shiny object syndrome, where you think this service is going to make your business, but it's not in alignment. And if you have too much going on and too many multiple projects, sit down with somebody else, because you can't see your way clear. But when you have the blocks in the calendar and the tasks, you can map. Any project managers in here besides Matthew, you can break it down into tasks, put the tasks over the timeline, put the timeline in the calendar, and commit. It's not interesting, but I promise you it works. And as an accountability coach, I do this with my small business owners a lot, and it works like gold. And then I have Victoria do it with me, because you can't do it for yourself. I'm on the mission to banish crazy busy. I hate this term. You walk up to somebody, they're like, hey, how you been? Oh, I've been crazy busy. And you're having a one-to-one conversation with them, so you can't actually roll your eyes at them. I promise all of you are rolling your eyes, if you could. You know, in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, you're crazy busy and I'm not? What am I doing, sitting here eating bonbons? Well, watching Netflix. So, if banish crazy busy. Here's another reason I hate it. Crazy busy maybe gives you an excuse, or it makes you feel like you have an excuse to have, I've been crazy busy with my family, so I haven't been concentrating on my business. Or I've been crazy busy with my business, so I haven't been able to exercise. This crazy busy thing shouldn't be used as, it shouldn't be the scapegoat. It shouldn't be the get out of jail free card. Get rid of crazy busy. The other thing it does is can send you into immediate overwhelm. Remember overwhelm caused by not knowing what to do and you're crazy busy? Get rid of it. Let's just agree right here, right now, that crazy busy is the norm for 2014 and probably forever. That's it. So when I ask you what you've been doing, just tell me what you've been doing. Don't tell me you've been crazy busy. We've all been crazy busy. Agreed? Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to leave you with a productivity mantra from that great guru, Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. Happy to take any questions.
You gave us the 4 priorities, which is great. Is there a priority to the priorities? I mean, some days I pick the dreaded task and I eat the frog, and some days I do other stuff. But how do you know on any given day which one to tackle?
You know what? I think it has to do with what's on your list. Your lists are going to be composed of different things. You know, sometimes they have a bunch of the little things on it. Then probably the right methodology for that day is to do check, because you're getting rid of a bunch of stuff and gaining momentum. The frog thing, I got to say, that's even got to come before the fast path to the cash, because the emails you send out, the voice messages you leave, the stuff you do is going to be meh. And none of you are meh people, or you wouldn't be out here at 8 o'clock on a Saturday. You're all trying to speak your way to more business and kill it. I know it. So if you have the frog, do the frog first. After that, it kind of doesn't matter. It's just getting through and not getting stuck, because you can look at all this stuff and you're like stuck and you're like bleh, in quicksand, and don't feel that way. Pick one of these 4 methods that's going to get you in action. I think that's the goal. Anybody else? Okay.
I love when you said that a lot of times we don't get things done, and that's because we really don't know what to do.
I literally fell off my chair when I was, Michael Port used it as a throwaway in the webinars, right in the middle. It wasn't a productivity talk or anything. And I literally, those light bulb moments, and I'm like, that's it. That's what overwhelm is, not knowing what to do.
Yes, I agree with you, Catherine. So from your speech, that's my biggest takeaway today. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Janice.